Hey, Perry here. If you want to get out of the day-to-day operations and build a more passively owned business, this video is going to be super important to you. You see, when you are working in your business rather than working on it, it leads to all sorts of travesties. Now, today I'm going to be talking about why people tend to build the business around them and giving a definition for what that actually means to build a business around you. And it's super fascinating because I've been working with business owners for 35 years, building them out of the day-to-day, getting their business running more passively so they can have a really good quality lifestyle and the profit that they want, spend more time with their family. It's really amazing when I first start talking to business owners, and they've got no concept of anything other than building a business around them. That is their model. Now, I kind of understand that because, I was born in New Zealand and worked on farms. And when I started to really look at business people that I was working for, I can see why people end up with that model. Most of the people that I knew that ran businesses and people that I worked for, they were working like 70, 80 hours a week. And I got another look at business and what business can really look like when I moved to Hawaii to surf. And when I was there, my mentors provided me with a model that really just shifted and changed my viewpoint completely. And in fact, a couple of key principles here. They were the first people that I met that had built their businesses to support their passions and purpose. And so these two gentlemen loved sailing, loved surfing, loved skiing, and they were traveling all the time, doing things that, to me as a young Kiwi boy in Hawaii, I was like, wow, how do they live that life? And, were they drug dealers? What was going on? And, I ended up working for them and I was the operations manager. Now, these weren't small players. So just to give you some context, in my role with them over a period of 7 years, they went from owning between 17 to 25 businesses because they would sell some on they'd build them up, sell them, some they'd keep. And my job, by the way, was to get these businesses to run without them. So this is where I learned this. But the most important thing here is they provided me a model that sort of blew my mind, and that was 30 years ago, but just really reshaped me. So to define what it means to build a business around you and why it destroys your life, we're going to go to the ultimate first. You build your business to run separately from you. And it's really interesting because it's actually easier to build a business that runs separately from you. You'll see why in a second. So the opposite of that is a business that relies on you. You're the most important person to that business. And that's a business that you've built around you. Now, you already can see, say, from Monopoly, right? It was a great learning tool. In Monopoly, to win Monopoly, you want to buy assets that run separately from you. So you might get, Oxford Station or really good rental property, or you're involved with a business that doesn't rely on you. And that's the only type of business that can give you a really good lifestyle. And I was explaining this to one of my clients yesterday and trying to prepare him for his move from working in his business to on it, to actually building it so it runs more passively. And he sort of said to me, oh, that's kind of like Monopoly. And that's why I've included this slide today. He could grab that from Monopoly. He said, it's like investor thinking. In Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki, who was a great teacher of this. And I went, yes. Because when you're working at an investor or business owner level, you're actually not working in the business. Your brain power is applied to leveraging and multiplying income streams and building systems that run separately from you. just so you're clear, we've done this for 65 clients. We've built them right out of their businesses. So many of them have gone on to build multiple businesses that they will work with their leadership teams in those businesses, a few hours a week. We've also helped hundreds of business owners get, way more profit and a lot more free time but we're always having to start with having them to understand that these models are quite different. So my mentors were from the generationally wealthy, meaning they came through a family lineage of huge wealth. And they were an investor class type person, so they would never build a business around them. They would always build the business to run separately from them. And there's a reason for this. So when you build the business around you, you are the most important person in that business. And everyone wants you. And, at early stages of business development, you might find that stimulating and you might find that exciting. Your staff have to talk to you. Everyone has to talk to you. Customers have to talk to you. Any decision you make, you've got to make. You're right in there doing everything. But, at the end of who knows how long, you're going to burn out. But to become a roadblock. And there's no economy of scale. There's no operational efficiencies because everything's sort of based on you. And your lifestyle suffers. And you are a cap on increased profit. There's no scalability with you working in the day-to-day operations. It's hard to scale it that way. So why do people build their businesses around them when it's actually just silly, to be honest? It's silly if you want a good lifestyle. You want to travel, you want to spend more time with your family. Because you could have what you were doing running a bit more separately from you, and you get a good lifestyle. Well, the reason that people build their businesses around them, as I said earlier, that's the only model they know. That's the first thing. And they have been trained, me included, I'd learned this as well. I've been trained through the schooling system to be a resource. Now, I'm not against the schooling system, I'm not against education, but you didn't go to school to learn how to allocate and control resources, which is what my mentors were doing. And which is what I do now. I'm allocating and controlling resources. When you went to school, you were actually taught to be a resource. So think about that. Trained to increase your skill level so that you could go out into this wide world and trade an hour of your skills to someone else. So you're trained to be a very, very, very good resource. Doctor is a highly skilled person who's going to earn more for an hour because their skill level is more important, more valuable. But still, that's trading time for money. So what happens is that, you come through that schooling system and then you might go on to, doing an apprenticeship and you're getting patted on your back for being a hard worker. All these things that I experienced. So if I've been trained to be a hard worker and to increase my skills so that I can be more valuable to someone, I'm actually trained subconsciously to go into business and build that business around me. I want you to think about that for a moment. Where the generationally wealthy, they were trained to control and allocate resources. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it? The symbiotic relationship. And when you understand how the education system sort of ramped up in the transition from the agricultural age to the industrial age, church, the industrialists, and the education system, they needed to ramp up this education to train people to be good resources for the wealthy. And the same thing's still happening, if you think about it in that way. So your programming and conditioning just sets you up to build this business around you. You become the most important person in the business, and that means that you are going to end up burnt out. If I think about my mentors, they ran their businesses ran separately from them. They were really unimportant to the day-to-day operations of the business. They only knew that the leaders were the only people that actually knew them. And most of their value that they added to those businesses was through thinking. Again, that comes back and falls into the allocating and controlling of resources, because they are optimizing those resources to increase profit, which is thinking abilities, not so much doing, and taking time out to really think was really important to them. So I hope you learn a lot from that, but that's why, one of the reasons, there's a few more, which I'll share in later episodes, of why people build their business around them subconsciously, and then end up burning out and never having good free time. Actually, one of my mentors used to say, if you can't leave your business for a couple of months and it runs without you, you don't own a business, it owns you. If you're interested in this stuff, you can come and check us out at passivebusinessformula.com. Down below, you'll see a couple of resources. When most people are trying to exit the day-to-day operations, they're going to make expensive mistakes, and they end up back in day-to-day operations going, I'm never going to do that again. There's a blueprint down there that will make it really easy for you, a step-by-step blueprint about how to get out of the day-to-day operations and build out a more passively owned business. And finally, there's the ultimate dream team building system down below. Again, these are very, very inexpensive resources that can save you a whole bunch of money. And that's about the people stuff, because most business owners don't know about the people stuff, and the people stuff's the most important thing. You can have the most perfect systems, but if you don't understand how to only employ people that are high in the value of conscientiousness, your business will never do really well, and you will always have to come back and micromanage it. So there's a couple of things down there, a couple of resources that you might be interested in, and you can book a chat with me, no obligation, to see what we can do together. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Catch ya. And of course, this information is important to you. Subscribe below. Catch ya.